Hi teachers, this is Unit 3, Week 5, Lesson 4 of the Middle School ENL Standalone curriculum. So continuing on with the work on the persuasive letter or email. So this is the final project of this unit. The learning objectives for this lesson are to express ideas clearly with peers, building on the ideas of others, to acquire and accurately use academic and content-specific words and phrases, and to demonstrate independence, selecting and applying words and phrases to aid expression. So we look at the essential question here. Definitely remind your students of the essential question and remind them that by writing a letter, they are advocating for their community. They are being advocates. And so the only way to advocate is not just protesting or just making laws. What they're doing right now in their project is also advocating. All right, so the first piece of today's lesson is review. So in the previous lesson, you kept track of the data and did the bingo activity with all of the different data points that may have been there in other students' letters when they read them out loud. So building on that sharing, they're going to go on a little scavenger hunt. So they're going to go to the community health profile and look up the following data points. So the air pollution rate for the neighborhood, the number of pedestrian hospitalizations, the average rate of childhood obesity, percent of adults with hypertension, and the top cause of premature death. So please remind students as well, so integrating some tech into this remote landscape, that if they are on a PC, they can click Control F to find a word. So if they wanted to type in pollution or type in pedestrian hospitalizations, that's something they could do. On a Mac, it's Command F. That is right here. Once again, this presentation is available in the Video Adapted Resources folder in TeachHub. So just a small piece that might help students feel less overwhelmed looking at a huge document, that they can search for keywords. And this is a skill they can continue to use beyond just this lesson. So next thing that they're going to do is make any final revisions. So whatever structure you have in place for students making revisions, whether it's comments on Google Classroom or anything like that, they can add any new data points, use any of the comments that teachers or classmates made during their reading or during the peer review. So whatever structures you have in place for that, for your students, you know your students best. So any final revisions. And then lastly, for this lesson will be the recording of their letter. So students did a voice recording in Unit 2. So they may be familiar with this already, but there's a link right here that goes through how to leave a good voice message that might help them with their letter. This is really important for them to do, to get confident with speaking and reading their thoughts. And looking down at the purpose, engaging with the community means that we need to get comfortable raising our voice, and that comfort comes with practice. So today you'll have the opportunity to share your voice with the community. So they can use a variety of things. They can use Vocaroo. They can use an Apple device like iPhone, iPad, MacBook, and they can use QuickTime Player or the voice recorder on any cell phones or Android phones. So any of those things are okay. And then in terms of submission, whatever protocols you already have in place for your class, all of those things work. The important thing is that students are getting the practice of speaking and getting the practice of recording their speeches. So the notes to teachers are a little hefty down here. So some things to go over. So if a student is, that's not what I meant to do. Student is feeling good, feeling confident, you can encourage them to try reading it in a different order, or maybe if they've recorded it and they're like, oh, I can make it better in a certain way now that I've heard it, definitely encourage those changes and support those changes. And if a student isn't able to record, they can still read their interview out loud with a partner. If you're using Google Meets or Zoom, you can also do breakout rooms and have a sort of place where you listen to your students read if that's easier for you, or the most conducive to the learning model that you are using. Flipgrid is also an option if you want students to have video on as well during their recording. So that's another option that you have for this assignment for your students. So definitely take a look at these notes to teachers down at the bottom in the speaker's notes. So this lesson, just to wrap up, will be an opportunity for them to look for data points, revise their work, and record their work. So all of these things work together in conjunction to work on their language modalities, and there's lots of opportunities for them to use that academic vocabulary. So I hope that this was helpful in going through this lesson, and I hope that your students are able to become even better advocates after this lesson. Best of luck.